Hello everybody. Today I'm going to show you how to model a Homburg hat using Blender 2.63. Now I apologize for not updating my channel for any new Blender videos lately because I've been very busy. So anyway, this will be the first video tutorial that I'm doing for 2012. So I'm going to start off with something that is relatively easy, but at the same time I want to use it to show some of the new features of Blender. So this is the final result that hopefully you should get. I will not be showing you how to create the materials. You can actually download the materials from the Blender materials repository, and you can apply it and adjust it to your liking. What I'm going to show you is to model this classic looking Homburg hat, and also with the ribbon around it. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so this is the actual 3D hat itself. So you can see the wireframe here and the ribbon that I've made for it. So this is a classic Homburg hat with its rim turned up like that. It's a little bit different from the fedora hat, as you can see from the designs. So if you go on the internet and search for Homburg hat, you should be able to get a lot of image and photographic references. Okay, so let me just reset everything, and I'll start from scratch and show you how to model this very unique looking classic looking hat. Okay, so let me just reset the scene. Okay, and the first thing we want to do is to get rid of the default cube. Now for those beginners who are doing this for the first time, if you are not sure what are the keys and buttons that I press, please take note of these two little windows here, and take note of the kind of key presses, the mouse actions that I'm doing while I'm creating, so you can follow this step by step. Okay, so the way I set up my Blender is that for tumbling. Okay, for the current versions of Blender, the default is when you rotate, when you middle mouse click and drag, alright, you actually lock the axis. I prefer the older method where when you move your cursor over here and you middle mouse click and drag, you can roll it around here. Now it's a matter of personal preference, but if you want to know how to set that, just go to File, User Preferences, and under the input, okay, you can toggle between turntable and trackball. Now the default for Blender is turntable, so with turntable activated, and when you pan and tumble around it, you'll notice that it will not rotate the view. Okay, so I prefer setting Blender to, under the Input tab, change it to Trackball. And under Editing, I beg your pardon, under the Interface, I prefer this option, Rotate Around Selection, turned on. Okay, so with these options turned on, we can start to model our hat. Now the first thing I want to do is to get rid of this cube, right? So I just press X to delete it. And with the cursor in the center, if you accidentally left mouse click and place your cursor elsewhere, press Shift C, and the cursor will be brought back to the origin, the center here. Okay, so now we want to create a cylinder. So press Shift A, and under the floating menu, choose cylinder. Okay, so the cylinder created, over your object tools bar here, you can choose how many vertices you want it to be. So change the number of vertices to 8 vertices, and the cap fill type, instead of n-gon, change it to triangle fan. Okay, so we do not want to have an n-gon face to cap this cylinder. Okay, so once you have done that, okay, you will start to create the base shape for creating your hat. Okay, so now I want to switch over to edit mode, so I press the tab key, okay, and hold down the shift and middle mouse to pan. Alright, and then I'm going to press 1 to go to the front view, press 5 to go to orthographic view. Okay, and I'll just roll my mouse out to zoom out a bit. I'm going to press Z to go to wireframe mode so I can see through the cylinder. Right now I'm looking at it in the front view. So I press 1 on my number pad to switch to the front view. Okay, so now I'm going to press Control Tab and switch over to face selection mode. Okay, and then I'm going to press A to deselect all the faces, press B to go to box select mode, left mouse click and drag to select half of the faces. So next, you press X to delete away the faces. So you're going to end up with half a cylinder. So what I did just now is I just middle mouse click and drag, and then you can see half the cylinder. Okay, so make sure the red line is cutting across the cylinder like that, because later when we apply a mirror, we want the mirror to mirror along the x-axis, which is represented by this red axis line. Okay, now the next step we want to do is to remove the bottom faces. Now there are a couple of ways to select the faces. You can press C to go to the circular selection tool, or it's like the old brush tool. Left mouse click and just simply paint over the faces that you want to delete. And you can press X to delete. Okay, right mouse click to get out of the circular select, then press X to delete away the faces. Or I'm going to undo this, or you can use another selection method. I'm going to press Control Tab and switch to vertex mode. And I'm going to press A to deselect to show you another method of selection. Right mouse click to select the center vertex, and then press Control number pad plus to increase the selection. In fact, if you press Control number pad plus again, you actually select the whole cylinder. So I'm going to press Control minus to go back one step, and then I'm going to press X and straight away delete away the faces. So both methods work as well. So now you have half a cylinder looking like that. Okay, next you want to do is to increase the number of edge loops around this cylinder. So press Control R. Alright, press Control R, move your cursor near the edge here, and you'll notice a pink line will appear that will cut the edge loop across the cylinder like that. Roll up your middle mouse button once, and then left mouse click to perform the cut. Okay, so now half your cylinder will have these sections looking like this. Now, the next thing you want to do is you want to apply a mirror modifier to this shape here. So move your cursor to the right here, okay, under the Object Modifier tab. Click on it and add a modifier, and then select Mirror. And you'll see that the other side is now mirrored. So if I press Z or Z to go to shaded mode, you'll notice that this cylinder has been mirrored. Okay, so if I were to select everything, okay, press A to select a couple of times to select all. Okay, and if you move your the components of your mesh, the other side is going to move as well. Okay, so I'm going to press Ctrl Z to bring it back to the center. And if you look at the modifier settings, there is a clipping option here. Just check on it. So now if I try to move it along the x-axis by clicking on the manipulator, you notice that the center sticks together. So that is the function of the clipping. So I'm going to press Ctrl Z to undo that. Okay, so right now what I want to do is I want to cut a couple of loops across here. Now for cutting edge loops, when you press Ctrl R to cut edge loops, you must satisfy this condition. That is, there must be four-sided faces. Okay, for example, if you press Ctrl R, if it's four-sided faces, you cut across. If you move it across a triangular face, it does not cut across. So how do I cut a loop across three-sided faces? You use the new knife tool. Okay, so when you press K to bring up the knife tool, the cursor changes into a knife tool, and when you are hovering over a face or the edge, you actually snap to it, and you can happily start cutting away whatever pattern you like. And because of the new angle feature, okay, let me press K again. Okay, to finish the cut, and also because of the new angle feature, you can cut multiple sided faces. Press spacebar to finish the cut, or if you're not sure of the functions, you can read at the functions right at this information bar here, which shows you the different functions of the knife tool. Tap the spacebar to finish cutting, and you realize that now you cut many weird shapes out from the faces. But this is not the result that we want. So I'm going to undo this. Okay, I'm just showing you the capability of the new knife tool, which is really awesome. Alright, so what we want to do is we want to cut right at the center of each of this edge here around the cylinder, so that we have enough topology to form the shape of our Homburg hat. So we're going to press K again, and if you look at the bottom here, it says Control. Holding down the Control key, it will midpoint snap. So I'm going to hold down my Control key, and then I'm going to left mouse click once, and you notice that with my Control key pressed on, it's going to automatically snap to the center of the edge here. So I'm going to left mouse click again, left mouse click again, left mouse click, and once I hover the edge, left mouse click, and once I'm done with it, just tap the space bar and the cut is complete. And now, because I have a four-sided face, adjacent face across here, I can press Ctrl R Alright, Control R, and then I can cut another edge loop right across here. Alright, and if you want this edge loop here to go down even further, you can use a edge slide function. So you press Alt, holding down the Alt key, and right mouse click to select this edge loop. And because we are going to move along the edge, alright, so we're going to bring up the special edge function. So press Control E, first letter of edge is E, Control E, and then you say edge slide. And you can slide in the edge a little bit lower. Okay, and I'm going to show you another new feature, a cool feature, in that you can actually select vertex and slide it along the edge here while preserving the shape of your cylinder. For example, let's say I want to slide the vertex along this line. So I press Shift V, and then you notice that whenever I move my cursor, it's going to highlight the edge. So when I click on this edge, now I can slide it along the edge without deforming the shape of the cylinder. Now this is a really cool feature. Alright, so I'm going to undo that. Okay, I'm demonstrating that to you guys so that you guys can use it for your other modeling purposes. Okay, now that we have our basic base shape, we want to reshape this a little bit so that it has a slight conical shape, because the shape of a human head is not exactly parallel like that. Or if you want to model a, let's say, a top hat, maybe you want to maintain it like this. But since we are modeling a Homburg hat, we just want to give this a slightly tapered look. So what I'm going to do is, you can select the bottom edge here by holding down Alt, then right mouse click. Alright, and then you want to scale along the cursor here. So because if you scale, if I press S and scale, what happens is that it's scaling along the unified center here, or rather the collective center of all these vertices. Okay, let me undo that. I want to scale it along the cursor. So if you look down at the toolbar here, especially this button here, the pivot center, you change it to the 3D cursor reference. So now if I were to press S to scale, it's going to scale along this cursor center, and it's going to give me a much nicer rounded taper. Okay, so I'm going to switch it back to median point again, and I'm just going to move this up a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to select this one. Now the shortcut key, right, to go to the cursor point is actually the period key. All right, when I press the period key now, I'm again referencing from the cursor. So I'm going to press S to scale it up slightly a bit. Okay, and now I'm going to switch it back to the median point again. All right, and I'm going to press a couple of times to select everything. And I'm just going to scale it, press S along the Z-axis until it looks like that. All right, so maybe along this edge loop, select this edge loop, and okay, again press a period again, and then press S to scale it up slightly. Okay, so now I got this nice tapered edge. Right. Right, if you know your shortcut keys, alright, you can actually press Control period to change between different pivot point modes. Alright. So if you press Control comma, you bring back to the median point pivot reference again. Alright, so I'm going to press A to deselect. So I'm happy with this shape. So now I'm going to extrude to form the rim of the hat. So I'm going to press Alt, right mouse click to select the bottom rim, and then I'm going to press E to extrude. Now when you press E and you move your cursor, it's going to follow wherever your cursor is moving. Alright, your mouse cursor. I'm going to right mouse click once. Just press right mouse click once, and take note that you have already extruded the face, or extruded an edge out of here. So if I switch to face mode, Control Tab, and then choose face mode, if you look carefully here, you can see a dot there. That means that there is a face residing along the edge here. Okay, so I'm going to go back to edge mode again. I'm going to select the bottom edge. I'm just going to pull it out and make sure that, yep, it is there. Okay, let me just undo that. So when you press E and then right mouse click, the edge is going to jump back to its original location here. Now, I want it to be extruded outwards, not follow my cursor like that. Alright, so you use this shrink flatten command. Okay, Alt S, okay, Alt S, and then you will actually move the edge along the normals. and then you have a nice rim looking like this. Okay, and then I'm just going to use the manipulator and then just push it up until it is flat like that. Alright, and I'm going to press Ctrl R and insert another edge loop here. Okay, and then I'm going to press Ctrl R and select this edge loop, and I'm going to press E to extrude another edge loop that goes up like that. Alright, using the manipulator to move it out like that. So you have your base, the basic shape of your Homburg hat. Alright, so now I'm going to apply a subdivision modifier, okay, to the hat. So by pressing Ctrl 1, okay, so I subdivide level 1, Ctrl 2, level 2, Ctrl 3. So to give it 3 levels of subdivision. And the next thing I want to do is I want to apply a smooth. Now, if I apply smooth in the edit mode, alright, it will only work in selected components. Okay, so you have to select everything, okay, and then you can apply smooth here. Alright, okay, so now all the faces are smoothed out, so it doesn't have the faceted look. Okay, so we have the basic shape of the Homburg hat that we can start to work on. Right, so now all you have to do is, for example, this rim here, we need another edge loop, or you can use the edge. You select the edge. Let me go to the edge and then select the edge here. Let me press Z to go to wireframe mode. So you can see the edge is now being selected here, and we can increase the creasing so the edge is more defined. So to do that, you press Shift E, okay, and Shift E will actually crease it. You can see as I pull the cursor away from the edge, the color actually goes to a reddish pink color. And if I go to shaded mode, now you can see now I have a much more defined edge at the bottom. Okay, so now the distinctive look of the Homburg hat is that it has a center depression or center groove. So I'm going to select the center edge here. Alright, I'm going to go to edge mode, and then I'm just going to hold down the shift, right mouse click to select the center edge here, and then I'm just going to push it down. But as I push it down, you notice that some of the edges here is not being affected, alright, and which you have to manually tweak. Okay, you can switch to vertex mode and select these 2 vertices, and then you can push it down until you create a nice depression. Alright, or you can select this edge, press Shift V, remember, and then I can slide this along here. Alright, try to get it to look as nice as possible, and then possibly this vertex here and pull it out like that. And because the number of subdivisions is relatively low, you can easily manipulate these shapes. Now, some of you might not prefer to edit in the cage editing mode in subdivision. So if you go over to your subdivision modifier here, there's a button here. When you click on it, it says Apply Modifier to Editing Cage during Edit mode. When you click on it, the vertices will actually appear to stick to the subdivided mesh. So for some people, this gives a better visual feedback while you're modeling the hat. So for example, the front part of the hat, I'm going to pull it out a little bit and then widen it along the rim here, and maybe press B to go to box select mode. Okay, before I do that, because these vertices are still selected, I'm going to press A to deselect, then press B to select these 2 vertices, and then just push it in here. And you might want to turn on proportional editing. If you turn on proportional editing enable, the shortcut key is O, the O key, and if you select a couple of vertices here, it's going to gradually affect the neighboring vertices. So as I push the vertices up here, let's say I give it a bow shape up like that, so it looks gives it a little bit more character. Okay, and then perhaps select these and then push it back in again. Okay, and then perhaps these 2 vertices here. Now selecting vertices, you use your right mouse button. Okay, for beginners you might find this a little bit confusing, but after a while of using Blender, you might find it actually it's not really a big deal. So to select and add on the selection, you hold on to the Shift key. As usual, if you're not too certain what keys that are pressed, just look at these 2 windows here, the top right hand corner. So essentially you can see that the Homburg hat is coming out really nicely. Okay, in fact I think I'm pretty happy with the result. Okay, and the only thing that doesn't look right now is that this hat is paper thin, so we want to give it a what do you call that, a solidify modifier. Now before I do that, I can apply the mirror. Okay, let's just apply the mirror. Okay, before I do that, I have to go to object mode, because you can't apply mirror apply modifiers in edit mode. So apply the mirror modifier. Okay, now to toggle between object and edit mode for the beginners, you press tab. Okay, tab will toggle between edit mode and object mode. Alright, okay, so now let me just go and tweak the hat just a little bit more, just like this vertex here, and then just okay, as you can see, my proportion editing is on. If you roll your middle mouse button, you will actually increase and reduce the area of influence. So right now I don't need the proportion editing anymore, so I'm going to press O to disable it, and I'm just going to individually select vertices and just tweak them. Okay, and perhaps this two, and because right now I've already applied the mirror modifier, okay, both sides you have to tweak it manually. Alright, let's say I'm happy with this, and let's apply a solidify modifier. So let's go and apply a solidify modifier. So once I apply the solidify modifier, you notice that the hat will start to have a thickness to it. In fact, you can actually adjust the amount of thickness you want. You can give it, well, not that thick, okay, just a little bit thickness, so that it looks like it's made of a solid felt material. Okay, so once we've done that, okay, so the basic shape of the hat is done. But let's dress up the hat a little. So I'm going to apply the solidify. So when I apply the solidify modifier, okay, so now if you go to wireframe mode, you see that now this hat is actually has a thickness. All right, and what I want to do is I want to extract this ribbon here, this edge of faces around here. Let me show you what I mean. I go to face selection mode, Alt right mouse click along the edge here, so the edge is selected. Now I want to duplicate and then extract this, separate it into a separate object. Then I'm going to construct a separate ribbon, which I'm going to attach it back again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Shift D to duplicate. So when you press Shift D, it immediately follows where your cursor is moving. Right mouse click so it jumps back to place. So while it is being selected, press P. P for peeling and orange. So peel, to peel it off, to separate the selection. So now if you go to press tab to go to object mode and go to wireframe, you will notice that now you have two separate objects, the ribbon, all right, and the hat. So now I got the ribbon band here. Let me go to shaded mode again. I'm going to press, remember the Alt S, the shrink flatten mode. Alt S will just S, not Alt Z. Alt S will actually okay, I have to go to edit mode for that to happen. Alt S to shrink flatten, to increase the size of the ribbon a bit, and then I'm going to press E to extrude. Right mouse click so that the faces jump back again. Press Alt S again to shrink flatten it outwards. So now we have a ribbon with some definition. Okay, if you want to give it more definition, you can insert edge loops. Control R, insert a couple of edge loops, bring it up to the top and at bottom, so to give it a definition. Alright, so now we got a ribbon, or rather a band across the base of the hat. So how do we construct the ribbon? Okay, it's very, very easy. So select the band, okay, and then go to edit mode. Alright, and what we're going to do is I'm going to insert a couple of edge loops. Control R, maybe 2 edge loops here, okay, and Control R, another couple of edge loops here to roll out the mouse, couple of edge loops here, and then I'm going to just shift these edge loops around so that I have enough subdivisions to actually construct a nice ribbon. You can press Control E to do an edge slide to move this around here. Control E edge slide to adjust it so to soften the look of the ribbon. Alt right mouse click, select edge loop, Control E edge slide, and then just bring it out here. Okay, so we have all these faces here. Okay, so I'm gonna go to face mode and I'm going to select these faces, and I'm going to extract them. I'm going to duplicate and then extract them and construct a ribbon from these faces. Now, before I do that, right now you can see there's a huge gap here. Let me just tweak the shape. Okay, hold down the Shift Alt. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm selecting the edge loops around here. So what I did was I hold down to Alt, right mouse click to select the edge ring around here. Holding down the Shift, right mouse click, right mouse click, right mouse click. You can see the edge loops all around is selected. And then I can just move it in like that. Okay, so now let's construct the ribbon. Okay, so I can duplicate this. Okay, Shift D to duplicate this, and then I just take it out and then press P to peel off the selection. So now I got a separate piece of ribbon, and if you go to edit mode, this is actually a separated object. Now I want to work on this. I want to isolate on this section. So you press the on your number pad key on your keyboard, press / to isolate it, and we are going to construct a ribbon out of this section here. So let's go to edit mode, and I just want to cover up the edges here. So go to edge mode, Control Tab, okay, and then Alt right mouse click, and then press F to fill up. Okay, F. Okay, Alt right mouse click the edge here, so the edge loop is selected, and then press F to close it up. All right. Then I'm going to press a Control R to insert another edge loop here. Control R, insert another edge loop here. Okay, and then going to face mode. Again, I'm going to press Alt, right mouse click to select this section here, holding down the Shift, and select this continuous loop around here. Then I'm going to use the scaling manipulator. I'm just going to scale this down. Okay, and okay, scaling at the global, you can actually change this to view so that you can scale it based on the view that you have adjusted. Okay, so let me switch it back to global again. And then I'm going to press E to extrude, okay, and press Alt S to extrude a center knot section like that, so that it puffs up like this. And press Control R to insert one edge loop here, Control R to insert one edge loop here. Alright, you can tweak the ribbon further by selecting the faces and going to using the move manipulator, then changing the orientation to normal, so I can puff it up a bit and puff it up a bit. So now I got a ribbon. So I want the edges to be more defined. Press Control R, insert one edge loop here, Control R, insert one edge loop here. So now you have a nice looking ribbon. Okay, I'm going to press the / key on the number pad key, okay, to get out of isolation mode. Alright, and then I can select the ribbon and go to edit mode, select everything, and then you just push it in until it's at the side of the hat. Okay, you can select the band, and then you can tweak this band as well. Okay, so that this band, let me go to edge mode, and then using the scale manipulator, and then just scale it down. Like so. Okay, press A to deselect, and there you have it. This is your Homburg hat. Okay, so this is the basis of modeling Homburg hat, and because all the elements are separate, you can apply the colors separately. So I'm going to create a new maybe a beige color, beige off-white color, and then maybe this one I give it a black color. And then the ribbon as well, I'm going to assign the same black color. And there you have it. This is the Homburg hat modeling tutorial. And I hope you like this tutorial and hope you learned something new from this. And I want to thank my subscribers for subscribing to my channel. And I want to again apologize for not updating my channel with new Blender videos. So do stay tuned, because I will be putting up new tutorials. Now if you have any special requests, do send them in to me by sending me a personal message, and I'll see what I can design a tutorial for it. Okay, thanks for watching, and happy blendering.